New developments tonight in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, more than 4 months after she disappeared from her Tucson home. Volunteers in Mexico say they received a tip about where her remains could be. 12 News reporter Maria Stobbs is here with the latest. Maria?
Mark, that's right. This search group regularly looks for missing people, and they've helped find the remains of dozens of people in the Nogales area. But this is the first time they've received a tip that specifically mentioned Nancy Guthrie.
25 graves. Not marked, not recorded, not claimed by anyone. Just 25 bodies in the desert, buried beneath the same stretch of ground where a team of volunteers was searching for a missing 84-year-old woman who had not been seen in over 4 months. They followed an anonymous tip into the Sonoran Desert just south of the American border. They searched carefully, section by section. They found those graves. They did not find her. Her name is Nancy Guthrie, mother, grandmother, a woman who lived in the same home in Tucson, Arizona for 50 years. She was taken from that home in the middle of the night. No warning, no witness who has come forward, no confirmed sighting since. Over 13,000 tips, more than $1.2 million in reward money, thousands of hours of footage reviewed. 4 months later, no arrest, no named suspect, no answers. This is what we know. Before we continue, this case involves an abduction and an active federal investigation. If you are new here, this is exactly the kind of case we cover on this channel. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This case is still moving. Drop a comment and tell us where in the world you are watching from. Nancy Ellen Long was born on January 27, 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She married Charles Errol Guthrie in 1963. A mining engineer whose work took the family around the world, including Melbourne, Australia, where their daughter Savannah was born in 1971. The family eventually settled in Tucson, Arizona in the early 1970s. In 1975, Nancy purchased a home in the Catalina foothills, the quiet neighborhood north of Tucson. She paid $85,000 for it. She never left. On June 10, 1988, her husband, Charles, died suddenly at 49. Nancy was 46. She raised her 3 children alone from that day forward, working at the University of Arizona in public relations for nearly 2 decades, staying in her community, staying in her faith. Those 3 children went on to shape their own paths. Savannah became co-anchor of NBC's Today Show and the network's chief legal correspondent. Annie became an author and jewelry designer. Cameron became a retired United States military colonel and decorated F-16 pilot. At 84, Nancy was sharp, independent, and deeply active in her community. She required daily medication and had limited mobility, but she lived alone, and she lived on her own terms. When investigators arrived at her home on February 1, 2026, her medication was on the counter. Her phone was inside. Her wallet was there. Nancy Guthrie was not. The evening of January 31, 2026 was completely ordinary. Nancy took an Uber to her daughter Annie's house for dinner, arriving at 5:32 in the evening. After dinner, Annie's husband, Tommaso Cioni, drove her home, a 10-minute drive. He waited at the curb until she was safely inside. The garage door closed behind her. That automated closure was the last confirmed sign that Nancy Guthrie was home and safe. Tommaso Cioni drove away. The neighborhood went quiet. For the next several hours, nothing unusual was recorded at the property. What happened next is documented not by witnesses but by technology. At 1:47 in the morning on February 1st, Nancy's Nest doorbell camera disconnected, deliberately interfered with. At 2:12 in the morning, a separate camera registered a presence near the home but recorded no footage. At 2:28 in the morning, Nancy's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone. 3 systems, 41 minutes, all dark. The FBI worked with Google to recover footage from back-end residual data. FBI Director Kash Patel released the images on February 10th. They showed a masked individual at Nancy's front door, armed, carrying a backpack, appearing to tamper with the camera. Forensic analysis identified the suspect as male, approximately 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10, average build. One of those images was captured on a different day, before February 1st. The suspect had visited the home in advance. He came once, noticed the camera, left. He came back prepared. This was planned. This was targeted. And investigators have not ruled out that he did not act alone. Churchgoers called Nancy's family at 11 in the morning after she missed her virtual Sunday service, the routine she never skipped. By 11:56, the family confirmed she was missing. The 911 call came at 12:03 in the afternoon. The following morning, Sheriff Chris Nanos held a press conference and said what investigators already knew. She did not walk from there. She did not go willingly. Investigators found physical evidence at the scene confirming Nancy had not left on her own. A glove recovered 2 miles from the home appeared to match what the suspect wore, but the DNA on it traced to a nearby restaurant worker with no connection to the case. That lead closed. The stronger thread came from inside the home. DNA evidence, including a hair sample, believed to potentially belong to whoever took her. The Florida lab spent 11 weeks on it before sending everything to the FBI for advanced analysis. Within days of the disappearance, ransom demands began arriving. The first went simultaneously to TMZ and 2 Tucson television stations, KGUN9 and KOLD, demanding millions of dollars in Bitcoin and referencing specific details from the scene that had not been made public. FBI Phoenix Special Agent in Charge, Hythe Janke, confirmed the Bureau was treating it as potentially coming from the actual abductor. A second demand was traced to Derrick Callella, 42, of Hawthorne, California. He sent texts to Nancy Guthrie and Tommaso Gioni referencing a Bitcoin transaction. When confronted, he told investigators he was trying to see if the family would respond. He was arrested and charged federally. His trial is set for June 23, 2026, in Tucson. The original demand, the one with the unpublished details, has never been officially closed. One theory running throughout this investigation is that Nancy was taken across the U.S.-Mexico border. Tucson sits an hour from the border. Nogales, Sonora is reachable in under an hour from her home. The FBI checked every official crossing, no confirmed sighting. But the desert between the two countries offers routes that cameras do not cover. In May 2026, that theory came back into focus. Not because of law enforcement, but because of a volunteer organization called Buscando Corazones Nogales. In Spanish, Searching for Hearts in Nogales. A collective of mostly women who search for the missing in one of the most difficult border environments in North America. Their leader is Ramona Guadalupe Ayala Ortiz. On May 10th, an anonymous caller directed them to a specific location near the Mariposa port of entry, near a stream beneath a velvet tree. 6 days later, Ramona led a search team into that desert. No results linked to Nancy. On June 10th, a second tip arrived. They went the same day, same area, same result. A third search is being organized. Here is the detail that stopped the national conversation. In that same stretch of desert, the exact location the anonymous caller pointed them toward, Buscando Corazones had previously found 25 unmarked graves. 25. Investigators believe they are consistent with cartel-related activity. None have been linked to Nancy Guthrie. The source of both tips has not been identified. No one has come forward. If you are still with us, hit subscribe now. This case is still developing, and what we cover next includes a breakthrough that surfaced just days before this video was published. The DNA from inside Nancy's home is now with the FBI after 11 weeks at a private Florida lab. Investigators are applying genetic genealogy, cross-referencing the profile against consumer ancestry databases to find a relative of the suspect who may have voluntarily submitted their own DNA. Genetic genealogist C.C. Moore of Parabon Nanolabs has indicated that Estrella Forensics in San Francisco, the lab that helped identify the Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann through rootless hair DNA, could be involved in this analysis. On June 13, 2026, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, 28 years in the Bureau, former SWAT team member, announced on social media what she called the biggest public break in the Nancy Guthrie case since it began. Blockchain cybersecurity firm Certic, valued at $2 billion backed by Coinbase and Tiger Global, officially designated Nancy's abduction as a wrench attack by proxy. In cryptocurrency terms, a wrench attack forces access to someone's digital assets. By proxy means the target was not approached directly. Someone connected to them was used as leverage instead. Certic's designation suggests the abduction may be connected to cryptocurrency holdings, potentially those of Savannah Guthrie. That designation creates a permanent, traceable digital trail investigators can now pursue. Coffindaffer's assessment? This is a huge breakthrough. Sheriff Chris Nanos has stated publicly that he is certain an arrest will be made. The FBI has been involved every single day since February 1st. Certain information has been withheld from the public deliberately, not to keep secrets, Nanos said, but to protect the case. The Guthrie family has been fully and officially cleared. Savannah returned to the Today Show on April 6th. On Mother's Day, she posted, "Someone knows something that can make the difference." On June 7th, one day before the 100-day mark, she wrote, "Bring her home." The family contributed $1 million to the reward pool. The combined total now exceeds $1.2 million. Nancy Ellen Guthrie was born January 27, 1942, in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She raised 3 children alone after losing her husband at 46. She lived in the same home for 50 years. She went to church every Sunday. She took an Uber to a daughter's house for dinner on January 31, 2026, came home, watched the garage door close, and was never seen again. She is 84 years old. She has been missing for more than 4 months. She is not a cold case. She is a woman who deserves to be found. If you have any information, any detail at all, the tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI. The reward is more than $1.2 million. If this gave you something, hit the like button. Subscribe if you are not already here. Share this video. You do not know whose hands the right information needs to reach. Nancy Guthrie deserves to be found. Keep her name loud.